It's here, the Anycubic Kobra S1 Combo. Now, I ordered this printer over the holidays, and I was able to get in at the early bird pricing, and it finally arrived today. If you guys are new here, my name is Billy. This is my workshop, and you're watching CoreXY Entertainment. Now, I want to take you guys through a very brief unboxing to save you from the oohs and ahs of watching a cardboard and foam be discarded. And instead, let's just get this printer set up, and I can give you my first impressions on what has been a very eagerly anticipated machine by many of us. So let's get into it. While we get this printer unboxed and set up, let's talk a little bit about what this machine is. The Anycubic Kobra S1 is Anycubic's first foray into the CoreXY kinematics world, a move that brings faster and more precise motion compared to traditional Cartesian-style 3D printers. This setup allows for higher speed printing with reduced frame wobble, making it a promising option for those looking to step up their printing game. The Kobra S1 boasts a generous 250mm by 250mm by 260mm build volume, giving plenty of space for larger prints while still maintaining a compact footprint. One of its standout features is the dual-gear direct drive extruder, which improves filament grip and extrusion consistency and should allow for working with materials like TPU, although I'm not quite sure if those will work in the Ace Pro, but we'll have to test that out at a later date. For heating, the printer is equipped with a 60-watt ceramic hot end capable of reaching temperatures of 320 degrees Celsius, meaning it can handle a variety of materials, including PLA, PETG, ABS, ASA, and even some engineering elements. While it doesn't have an actively heated chamber, Anycubic insists it will handle ABS, ASA, and other high-temperature materials without issue using advanced temperature and fan controls to regulate the chamber temperature. The print bed is a textured PEI spring steel sheet, which makes print removal a breeze while ensuring a strong first-layer adhesion. As for this printer's multi-material capabilities, the Anycubic Ace Pro unit, which acts as an automatic filament handling system, allows for multicolor printing with up to 4 colors, or up to 8 colors with an additional Ace Pro unit, which are expected to ship later this year if you were like me and you bought your S1 combo early on. The Ace Pro currently sets itself apart from all the other multi-material systems currently on the market by featuring an integrated filament drying function, which I personally am eager to test out in my upcoming deep dive review, as I do a lot of printing with PETG. These PTFE clips were a nightmare, by the way. Overall, this is a machine that brings a lot of exciting potential, blending CoreXY motion with an integrated multicolor system at pricing more comparable to other manufacturers' bed slinger options. This could make it a strong competitor in its class, as long as Anycubic can iron out the early kinks, which we'll begin to uncover in this video. Now, let's get this printer powered on and hooked up to Wi-Fi and set up with the Anycubic mobile app so we can start printing. So once you're done entering your super complex Wi-Fi password, like I am here, it's going to prompt you to open your mobile app and scan this QR code to complete the setup. And this all went pretty straightforward, very easy. They just select the printer and open the app and continue as instructed. And as soon as you are done with the connection between your Anycubic account and the printer, it's going to take you right into the automated setup routine, which requires you to plug in the included thumb drive and takes you through auto leveling, input shaping, and PID calibration. And once you are done with all of those things, you'll be good to get a test print going. All right, machine's all set up. We just got to put some filament in. I have an open spool of Anycubic brown PLA that has the RFID tag, so I'm going to throw that in there for now. But the machine actually did come with 4 spools of PLA as part of the promotion, but I'll load those later. And automatically it saw that it was Anycubic brown PLA. So we are good to go on that. Looking everything over quick here. The dryer, I mean, it's PLA, so we don't really need that right now. Filament backup is cool. You know, it's a feature that Bambu has where you could load more than one spool and it'll just keep printing if the first one runs out. So it's nice. It's nice to have these features on a Clipper-based printer all just built in. All right, start printing, test model, spider, dinosaur. I like dinosaurs. Start printing. Our little Flexi Rexy is done, and he looks pretty clean. There's a little bit of brim sticking up on just the very back, but overall, a really nice, clean print. In I think it took about 45 minutes. Let's get something a little more intricate loaded up and sliced using Anycubic Slicer Next, which as of right now is only available on Windows, but they say the macOS version will be made available in the next month or so. I do hope that's true because currently I have to run it inside Parallels in a virtual machine, and that is definitely not the most convenient way to have to slice something, but it gets the job done for right now. And let's send this over. Toast is ready. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's get the frame off there. All right. Gears are working. All right, on both sides. Toast pops up. Let's check out the tolerances. 0.5 separates, 0.4 separates, 0.3. Okay. 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 are all pretty fused. 0.4 and 0.5 separated without issue. All right. Let's test the dovetail. Fits together nice and snug. All right. A little bit of stringing. Top of that's not so clean. And the gears, well, that's just brim, printed brim around the gears, which is, you know, I haven't had that happen before, but that can be cleaned up. Okay. This is a pretty decent torture toaster overall, but this one printed on my Flash Forge a few days ago, and this is exactly how it came off the machine. There was no excessive brim, none of the parts were locking. The top of the toast is so much cleaner. So not the cleanest torture toaster, but it did okay. All right, let's try something else. Let's throw the all-in-one 3D printer test from -Elif over to the S1 Combo. I have the AI detection turned on, and I got a error notification on my phone to go check the machine. So it's telling me there's a spaghetti error. And I think it's just this. I think it's detecting that one tiny little thread, and it caused the print. So the AI detection is working, and if anything, it might be a little overzealous. But as long as it doesn't do it all the time, I'm all for it. I would rather take a moment to check on the print than come back to a tangled mess of filament all over the place. So, all right, I'm gonna start this back up and let it finish printing.
All right, the test is done and it looks pretty clean. I want to give you guys some better detail shots of this, but first I need to move things around because I'm up to 5 machines and my workshop's not that big. So I need to shuffle everything around and find a permanent home for this guy, and then we'll review this with some calipers and go over the details.
Plug in the printer, watch it go. Layers build as ideas grow. Tech and dreams in every line, making magic every time. From the screen onto the bed.
Well, that was a good 2 hours sped up into just a few seconds for you guys, but everything's in its place. The Kobra S1 has its new home next to my Bambu, and my snap maker and my Cheaty are down below because they're not currently being used that frequently. Workshop's cleaned up. We can take a look at this guy now. First impressions on this print, it came pretty clean. The overhangs especially are really nice. Like, honestly, right up until the 80%. Like 75 to 80% was clean. Let's see if you could get a look at that there. Like, it's only at the very end that it started getting a little rough. So it handled the overhangs really well. Let's grab the calipers and take a look at some of these measurements. All right, this opening is the 4mm opening, and that's 3.97. That's pretty good. All right, so this is the 3mm opening, 2.9, 2mm opening, 1.96. So far, so good. 8mm hole, 8mm round, 7.76. So that one's a little shy. That would require some XY hole compensation. All right, the 4mm. Right, is that 4? No, that's 5mm. 5 is coming in bigger. 5 is coming at 5.4. All right, so the hole, yeah, there's definitely some hole compensation that would be required. The bridging spans are all nice and clean. No real issues there. Let's measure them up. 30mm coming in pretty much on bar. It's 30.2. No, not even. That was a little slack. Let's see. It's coming in almost perfect. 29.93. So 20mm. 20.01. 10mm coming in at 9.9. I mean, I'd say overall the tolerances are really good right off the bat with stock settings. The only issue was a little bit of like a minimal discrepancy on the holes, but I mean that's fairly common with round surfaces, so a little bit of XY hole compensation would fix that. Overall, I'm happy with this. Now let's move on to something multicolor. Let's get this loaded up for multicolor. I'm gonna use the other spools that Anycubic sent me, but being that they only sent me 2 colors, I'm gonna have third spot. I'll choose something random, and I'm not gonna go with anything too bright because they sent me gray and black, and then I have brown in there already. So I might as well stick with the drab theme. This is like pretty cheap generic PLA from Amazon on a cardboard spool, but I don't think this really has issues with cardboard spools as much as some of the other multi-material systems, because Anycubic themselves has cardboard spools. For this multicolor test, I am going with Sky Ember, the Feathered Flame Dragon from Pinky Wings on MakerWorld, and I will link to them down in the description. It's the next morning, so it is time to check on our little dragons. All right, we got to do some cleanup, some support removal, some brim removal. They look pretty good. I mean, I'll do some post-processing, I'll clean them up, and we'll take another look at them in a bit. But first impressions, pretty solid multicolor print. Okay, we've got our little dragons cleaned up and ready for a closer look. And overall, these guys came out very clean. There was, and still is, a tiniest little bit of stringing, but nothing a little flame can't fix. You know, they're dragons after all. They shouldn't be afraid of fire, right? But I'm happy. I'm very happy with the results of this, aside from the amount of waste material that they created. But we'll touch on that in the follow-up video, because I'm going to do some more detailed testing. Also, if you notice the time-lapse, their eyes and teeth were blue. That's because the time-lapse didn't work on the first attempt, because I used a thumb drive that had the pre-installed files of the printer on it. So apparently time-lapse only works if you have a completely empty thumb drive for it to create the folder. If there's anything on it, time-lapse doesn't work. So several of the prints in my early testing I had to redo in order to get a usable time-lapse. Before we wrap this video up with my closing thoughts, I did want to run a first layer test. First layer test is done. Has a trim, which wasn't really necessary, but oh. That is pretty clean, gotta say. On the textured side, you really can't even see the layer lines. I mean, to be honest, you can't see them too well on the smooth side either. It's did a really good job, and this was all factory settings, just a simple 3MF from MakerWorld for a first layer test, and printed using Anycubic's texture gray PLA with their stock settings. Nice. I'm very, very happy with the results on this. Also, it's pretty durable for PLA. Like, it's not cracking. That's interesting. I would almost say this felt like PETG, the way it's responding to me bending it. All right, pretty cool. There's one last thing I had to try, because I saw someone comment on it on the Anycubic forums, and it does indeed work, putting a Bambu build plate on the Anycubic Kobra S1. I'm going to cut this video here for the time being, but I'll continue my testing over the next few weeks so I can present you guys with a detailed follow-up. For now, my overall impressions of this machine are quite good, but there's definitely some kinks to work out, which is to be expected of pretty much any early adopter technology. Aside from the issues I mentioned earlier in the video, like the time-lapse feature not recording despite being turned on, I came across a couple of other quirky issues as well. There was a glitch with the RFID sensors in the Ace Pro. It wouldn't read the spools correctly, but it also wouldn't let me manually override it because it knew that there was an RFID tag present. I had to randomly move the spools around from one slot to another to finally get it to read them properly and update the slicer accordingly. It was a little bit of an annoyance, but an easy fix. I just hope it doesn't happen often. Speaking of the slicer, the fact that there's not a current working version for macOS is a bit of a letdown. I did contact Anycubic about this, and they said to expect a working version for macOS by next month, which is March of 2025. So I'll eagerly be awaiting that, because the current workflow is just cumbersome for Mac users. They also let me know that they will be updating the mobile app to be fully supportive of the Kobra S1 around that same time. I didn't really touch on this in the video, but as of right now, you can't use the mobile app for printing or slicing. It's literally just for monitoring. If you try to print or slice, it just tells you there's no profile for this machine yet. So They're saying that will be addressed around the same time as they release the macOS update. All this said, I'm still really happy to have this machine and be able to continue testing it over the next few weeks while Anycubic themselves release these patches and updates to correct these early adopter pains. I do want to mention that while I was in direct communication with Anycubic during the making of this video, this is not sponsored by them. They did not send me the machine for free. I paid for this in full during the pre-release back in December. And the only thing they did for me was to expedite the shipping a little bit so I would get this early enough to make a video for you guys. While this isn't a sponsored video, if you're thinking about getting one of these machines, I do have an affiliate link in the description below. Using that link would be greatly appreciated, as it would help me produce more content like this for you guys in the future. You'll also find links to all the models and software referenced in this video, so be sure to check those out and show some love to the people that make all the stuff we love to print. If you like what you saw here today, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. We'll be doing some more printer and electronic reviews coming up, as well as several project videos, so stay tuned. And that's it. I've got to get going, but you guys feel free to stick around, check out one of these videos or those videos. I don't remember where I put it. I didn't edit this yet. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Dreams and plastics taking shape, and now pieces build. I'm gonna show you how.